Las cosas que necesito en la vida ya están aquí. Las cosas que necesito en la vida ya están aquí. I am free, free as a bird now, with my feathered wings. I am free, free as a bird now, with my feathered wings.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Camino Cafe. I'm so happy you are here with us today, whether you are watching us on the YouTube channel or listening on the podcast. And my name is Leigh Brennan, and I really can't believe that I'm here doing these things. And I think it's really just an example of what the Camino can do for your life. I was a yoga teacher before I went on Camino, and now somehow I'm doing interviews and doing a podcast. And I'm so lucky to be talking to pilgrims all over the world. Hearing their stories is just magical for me, and I hope that you are finding that same thing. And today, I know our conversation is going to be great. I am sitting here with Reino Gevers. Excuse me for mispronouncing. I've jinxed myself today. But welcome, Reino. I'm so happy you're here.
I'm so happy to talk to you, Leigh.
Oh, well, thank you. And Reino is quite accomplished. He had a great career in journalism, and since then, and we'll get into all of this, but he has walked the Camino numerous times. How many times have you walked?
Well, 13 times.
13 times.
13 times, always sections, the full section and then partial sections. I try to do it at least once a year. Because I find this is an important time to just self-reflect and to recalibrate. It's something I've done more or less every second year since 2008, 2009.
Wow, that is amazing. I'm very envious, 13 times. Well, we're going to talk about a lot of those. And I just wanted to mention you also have become an author. You have, I think, 3 books that you've published. You also are doing a podcast, which is really wonderful, and you're a mentor, and you're also offering retreats, which we'll get into all of that as we talk. But I wanted to go back and just kind of let people know, if they haven't read your book yet, Deep Walking, your newest release. Can you kind of just give everybody an opportunity to know, how did you first become aware of the Camino, and what made you take that first step to actually go?
I was on the brink of a burnout at the time. This was 2006. The media industry was going through a very rough time with lots of retrenchment, staff cutbacks, and the whole media industry was changing rapidly. And I wasn't enjoying journalism anymore. And had come to realize that I had to change something. I had problems in my relationship. And I didn't feel, I wasn't in a good spot at all. And then somewhere I picked up this book, The Pilgrimage by Paulo Coelho. Yeah. I read it in one night.
Oh my goodness.
And I said, look, I got to do this. And so within, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, I packed my backpack and walked a small section. And of course, I wasn't prepared at all. When I reached Santiago, my backpack was broken, my shoes were broken, I had blisters on my feet. But this first time was only 200 kilometers. Okay. And I was really exhausted physically and emotionally. And I said, look, I got to do it again. Mm-hmm. So the next year I did it for 5.5 weeks, starting from France, and then going on the Camino Aragonés over the Pyrenees. And that was, I think, the Camino that really changed everything, because it was that Camino that inspired me to write my first book, Walking on Edge, and then brought a lot more clarity. I think a lot of pilgrims go through this same process of, you have to go through this period of more or less crucifixion, and then you go through that deep valley of death, through the meseta, where that empty space, And then you reach that stage of exhilaration, of joy, and of accomplishment, and clarity, absolute clarity. And I knew, look, I've got to change everything. I've got to change my life. I've got to do something entirely different. I've got to move away from the place I'm living in. I've got to change my job. I've got to leave the relationship I'm in.
Wow. Right? I mean, the power of transformation right there.
Absolutely, yeah. And the following 2-3 years, I did exactly that. I've been a self-employed coach trainer since 2010, and I'm absolutely enjoying it. I feel that I'm really in line with what I have always wanted to do in mentoring, helping people, and discovering people stories. What I always found so fascinating in journalism, writing about people, but I was no longer doing that. The job had changed so much. I was more or less just sitting at the desk Googling. That's what journalism ended up being with all the digitalization. So here I am today doing people stories again. But in a different way.
Yeah. You know, when I was reading your book, that never came to mind, but now that makes so much sense. Wow. So I want to go back. I was thinking about Paulo's book, and there's a little exercise in it about kind of visualizing that you're a seed and you're germinating. I don't know if you remember that part of the book. But
yes. Yeah.
And I just wonder, you know, how do you feel? Do you believe that a seed is planted somehow for all pilgrims and then we eventually go?
Absolutely. I think that seed is planted at that point of brokenness. I think a lot of pilgrims have come to some point of brokenness, having lost a loved one, having gone through a life-threatening disease, having lost a job, having to deal with a divorce. There's that point in life where you're at a crossroads, where you have to decide, look, I have so many years probably left to live. What am I going to do with these years? What am I here for? I think these fundamental questions have been asked by pilgrims throughout the ages. Who am I? Where am I going? And what am I destined to be?
Yeah, absolutely. And when I go back, so you were in Germany at the point when you took that first Camino, is that right?
Yes, yeah.
Your journalism job. Could you have even imagined that you'd be living in Spain and Majorca and you'd be doing what you're doing now before you set foot on the Camino?
Absolutely not, because this is how the path leads you.
Yeah.
And it's just taking one step at a time, and you have an idea or an intention in mind, but the universe leads you in a certain direction, and then you just have to take it. You just have to take the signs that the universe whispers to you. And this clarity came on the Camino, where it was absolutely clear to me, look, you have to work with people. You have to do things differently. And there is a message within you that you want to spread, that you want to put out in that world. And my real passion here is that I want other people to have this experience of the spiritual on the Camino. A lot of pilgrims, a lot of people start the Camino as a hiker and they end it as a pilgrim, because something's happening inside. Because as you know, you've walked it and something happens to you, because this is not just a normal hike. You're walking on trails, on paths walked by other pilgrims for centuries, and maybe way before the time we know. There's research telling us that probably the first humans who came over from Africa, from Gibraltar, followed the stars and walked the Camino. northwards, and then populated the world. So there's something mystical, there's something magical about the Camino.
Oh, absolutely agree. And I want to touch back on that in a second. I wanted to ask you, so, we go, that seed is planted, you read the book, the seed is planted, you go on that first one, and I would say those 200 kilometers really.
That was the very first one. And
right.
I'll tell you, I had a broken foot. When I was a teenager, I fell from a tree and my foot was shattered. So I've always had problems with the foot. Okay. So I couldn't walk very far. And so there was this problem. And so the amazing thing happened, because I had enormous pain in this foot because there are bones missing in my foot. So, but after a while, that pain just disappeared. And
there's the magic.
There's the magic. And now I'm walking hundreds of kilometers. I've never had pain in that foot again.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's fantastic, right? So there's a great example of the Camino providing, I can't even imagine that you even thought that was something that could happen.
Yes. Yeah.
It provides something that you actually needed to happen.
Yeah. And I think this is some old trauma that hadn't been healed, because we know that the body is like a cassette recorder. It stores all the emotional trauma from your past. Yep. And while walking, you're walking off old things. Yes. And definitely old memories come up from childhood, from the past. And as you walk, the healing process starts. The therapy starts. As an Australian pilgrim said to me on my first Camino, you just need to walk things off.
Yeah, right? So, I just wanted to go back and highlight that, for those people, I know a lot of people have a lot of time taking taking a month and a half, 2 months off of work to go on Camino. And I just want to highlight and just kind of underscore the fact that your first one was shorter, and look what it, the kind of the domino effect of what happened in your life. So, if somebody's listening, I want them to understand that a short one can have the power of transformation. And then I want to touch on, though, in your opinion, I'm always fascinated by, we pilgrims, we keep wanting to go back. And I'm curious, because I know you have a very philosophical mind, well-educated, and I wonder, what's your take on that? Why do we want to go back? Why is that 1 or 2 times not enough?
A lot of people ask that question. Especially pilgrims I met the first, the second, and the third Camino walks I did, and I said, how often do you still want to walk this? And I said, well, and I openly admit I'm a Camino addict, but it's like reading a good book. I have 10 favorite books that I read over and over again, and each time I discover something new. And I've walked the Camino Primitivo 3 times. And every time it was a very different Camino, because you see and experience things differently each time.
Yes.
It's not walking the same path. Externally, yes, but you're having different experiences each time.
Well said. Yes, you're walking the same path externally, but internally it's different every time, right? And the people you meet, the things that grab your attention as you're walking. Yeah, that's a great answer. I love that. Well said.
I think, yes, you just touched on that point, meeting people on the way. This is one thing I really learned, because you learn through other pilgrims. Mm-hmm. You in talking and having conversations with other pilgrims in the evenings when you meet in the alberg, while walking, and you help each other, you assist each other, and I've had some amazing interactions with fellow pilgrims, and this is so precious. I mean, I did describe some of those interactions in my books, and the magic of it all, and then especially when you realize, if you think you've got problems, and other people are telling you about their life stories, you think, oh my God, my life is so easy.
Right, I'll keep my problems. Right.
My problems are just small difficulties in comparison.
Yeah.
Like if a woman just come out of cancer therapy, walking the Camino step by step in her own pace, and you can still see her body all gaunt and her skin all yellow from the chemotherapy,
Yeah.
but she's walking her Camino and she's making it all the way to Santiago, and I think, wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you find that you would kind of meet and interact with a pilgrim that would have the exact message sometimes that you wanted to hear on those first two, or that you needed to hear? Did you have examples of that?
Yeah. I think this is the universe speaking through other people, giving you that message that you need to hear.
Exactly.
And one of those is humility. One pilgrim said to me, and that was something I needed just at that point in time: be humble, or the path will humble you.
Yes.
And I thought, yeah. Now here you are thinking you know it all, so let's get back to humility, because only in that space of humility can you really learn and listen.
Yes. Right. And I think that humility can come in so many different forms, from the judgments we form when we see somebody on the path, right? We can come up with these stories in our minds about these people and be totally wrong. We find out later on that, some major reason as to why maybe they're acting the way that they're acting, or humility can come as early as, having to take things out of your backpack because you overpacked and you were, you had a scarcity mindset. And, so I think that humility lesson is handed to us over and over again.
Over and over again, exactly. It's especially when you reach that point of complete physical and emotional exhaustion, and for me it wasn't so much later on, so much the physical challenge. I was pretty fit after a while, but more the emotional challenges, the questioning of what I was doing, and then recalibrating and trying to find my own way in life.
Yes. I think
and also dealing with my old childhood traumas, my time in South Africa, and I think we South Africans do have a lot to transmute, a lot to deal with, individually and collectively. Not only as far as the race issue is concerned, but on many other levels too.
Yes. Did those things surprise you when they came up for you on the Camino?
It did. It really did. I thought, I've been hiking a lot. I've done other hikes, but why does it always come on the Camino? Why do very old memories and old things come up while you're on the Camino? And one thing I've practiced on each of my pilgrimages is I would go back through my family history. These stone markers where pilgrims place their stones on the way markers. I would go through my family line, and I would go through my great-grandparents' parents to find out the central theme of what is the central theme in my family. And I would discover many things, and I would then forgive people in my own family, and I would also understand why my grandfather acted the way he did, or my father acted the way he did, or my mother, and there would be much clarity coming after that. And I did that with some friends too, some friends and associates that had caused me a lot of trouble during my life. And sometimes months after I'd done my Camino, this person would call me, and say,
wow, no coincidence there, right? Like the power of the magic, I think, of the Camino, helping you to process that. How did you come up with this ritual of doing that? That's a really cool ritual.
Well, it's actually a ritual from the Zulus I grew up with in rural South Africa, where you reconnect with your ancestry, and when you walk a path, you reconnect with your lineage by placing a stone at crucial points along the way, just to remind your ancestors, well, I haven't forgotten you, I'm still here.
Yes.
And I think, we Western Europeans have lost that connection to our ancestors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
they're always there. They're always there watching over us in some way. I firmly believe that they are our guardian angels there somewhere, just leading us on the path we're supposed to go.
Yeah, I agree. And then, we're still carrying some of the traumas that they experienced and sometimes don't even realize it. Many times don't even realize the trauma that we carry from ancestral things. Yeah, that's a great ritual. I want to talk more about rituals as we get going. I could talk about your Caminos. You've had 13 of them, so we could talk about that the whole time, but I don't want to miss some other topics. I wanted to dive into your book. I read it very early on in the pandemic. You see, I've got it. I didn't have to prepare for this interview, actually, because I had already read it. I've got stuff highlighted, and I use a pen when I highlight, but I wanted to dive into your book because I think you've got a lot of great stuff in here that I think no matter who's watching this, they can use it for the Camino, but I think they can also use it for processing what's happened during the pandemic and getting ready to re-enter possibly the world after the pandemic. And so I wanted to start, if it's okay with you, I wanted to read a little bit on page 20.
Sure. Yeah.
This is something that has really, really stuck with me, the way that the stuff that you highlighted here. So you talk about psychologists at Harvard University conducted a study with 2,200 volunteers, monitoring their thoughts and feelings to find out how often they were focused on what they were doing and what made them most happy. More than half the time, people's minds were wandering to other things. The researchers concluded that reminiscing, thinking ahead, or daydreaming tends to make people more miserable, even when they are thinking about something pleasant. And then you go on to quote from the study from Matthew Killingsworth. And the quote was, and this is the one that has really stuck with me: a human mind is a wandering mind, and a wandering mind is an unhappy mind. The ability to think about what is not happening is a cognitive achievement that comes at an emotional cost. And I got chills again the first time I read that, because I think that kind of will take us into some mindfulness discussions, but I just wanted to kind of talk about and expand upon your thoughts on that study and what made you share that and how it resonates with you.
Yes, I mean, as you read it, the same thing happens to me. I have goosebumps because when I walked the Camino the first time, I just realized how much my own mind was wandering. I was all over the place, and I got lost terribly. I mean, especially on one occasion, I got completely lost in the Pyrenees mountains, and it was dark, and at night there was a thunderstorm, and I was in a pretty bad state because, as you know, the Pyrenees get very cold at night. It was May, and so I realized, look, that was one important lesson that I learned on the Camino, that being not in the moment can really lead you into a pretty bad, pretty badly off the path,
Yes.
know. And I think this is what you just quoted there is what all the teachers of all the spiritual traditions teach, is that that practice of being in the here and now, and not wandering off to the past or to the future, because the past has been dealt with, and you don't know what is going to happen in the future. We never know, but the preciousness of life is in the here and now. And I do a lot of health mentoring in companies, and I would say about 70 to 80% of employees in Europe are unhappy in the jobs they do. They're spending their days counting the months and the years until they reach retirement, in a quiet state of misery.
Yes.
And a lot of the pilgrims I've spoken to on the Camino, who left their jobs, their unhappy jobs, are suddenly finding their joy again, because they are finding, what are they finding? That experience of the moment that they've been missing all those years while doing jobs or staying in jobs they're not happy in.
Yeah. And I think the same probably maybe is true. Have you found this, that it may be staying in relationships too long? That they've been in a relationship.
Exactly. This is the same thing with relationships. I think when a relationship has outlived itself, you do realize it intuitively, but you still stay in that relationship, even though it's filled with pain and misery. And your years go by, and then suddenly you find you're old and frail, and you missed out on most of life.
Yes. Why do you think that is? What's the fear in letting go of a job that, just isn't fulfilling us, or a relationship? Because you're right. That intuition is there. You know that something is done, that you should get out, but something's holding us back. What do you think that is?
I think we humans are conditioned to routine. We want things to stay as they are. But that's not how life works. Life is a constant cycle of change. But it's that change that also makes us afraid, because we are our mindset is probably saying to us, look, we're in a safe place, we're in an unhappy state, but we're in a safe place at least.
Yes.
I don't know what the future might bring. I'd rather settle for the safe place. And it's exactly this space of, I call it quiet misery, that makes us ill, that robs us of our life purpose, because what does the universe want from us? It wants from us growth, spiritual growth, elevation of consciousness. Mm-hmm. And that only comes with change, with going out and meeting new people, going out and experiencing new surroundings, and reading new books, having a new experience. That's how we grow. Yes. Or just giving up an unhappy job, trying something new, learning a new skill that demands something from us, that might bring forth some skill that we never knew we had.
Yeah. I wonder, sometimes I think about the Camino almost becomes kind of a little bit of a hero's journey for us, right? We go on this adventure, and all of a sudden we have the courage maybe to leave a relationship or to leave a job. Is there something to that? Do you think something?
Absolutely. I'll tell you a story. Yeah. I met an elderly lady from Bavaria. We were in a Camino cafe, and so I wasn't very health conscious at the time. So I took 2 teaspoons of white sugar and put it into my café con leche, and she said, "Don't take sugar; it's not good for you." And then she told me her story. She had fallen somewhere near Roncesvalles. She had stumbled and fell and hurt herself. Okay. And fellow pilgrims had to carry her to the next village. And so she was very unhappy that she couldn't continue her pilgrimage. Yeah. And then the villagers called a faith healer or whatever. He wasn't a medical doctor. He was some type of faith healer. And this man simply asked her, if you think about why you fell and you find the answer, you will be able to walk again tomorrow. And she mulled over it all night. and she realized, look, I got to leave my husband. She'd been married to her husband for 40 years or 50 years. I don't know how long, but she realized her marriage was unhappy. She's got to leave her marriage. And this is from a rural, very Catholic Bavarian village where you don't do such things. So this happened the year prior, and she had many health issues, and she did exactly that. She left her husband. She did finish her Camino, and the next year she came and did it all again.
Wow. That is one of the best stories I've ever heard. That is fantastic. So did you stop taking sugar in your coffee after this?
I don't take any more sugar in my coffee.
I can imagine after that story, you're like, oh, I'm pouring it out, you know? Well, that's a great story. Okay. So also in the book, you talk a lot, of course, you talk a lot about mindfulness in this. And there's a section in the book where you're talking about walking slowly. And if I can find it real quickly, I found it fascinating. You were talking about creativity and authors walking, how some famous poets and authors, you know, I've always used walking to kind of elevate the creativity. And you mentioned at the bottom of page 92, walking in our own rhythm and pace seems to create a natural feedback loop between the body and the mental state, which you don't experience when behind the wheel of a car or on a bicycle. And I firmly agree with that. And I wonder if you could just kind of expand for people who haven't yet had a chance to read your book, what you're talking about there and what your thoughts are along that, and maybe share some of the things that you learned about some of these authors.
Well, I think we humans are designed to be walking. And the amazing thing is that if you go through history, you find all these examples of artists and well-known authors who used that quiet space, walking in nature, to find inspiration. Bach, for instance, is one example. When he had that composition in his mind, he went for a walk, and that tune found more clarity while walking. Then he wrote down his composition, and he had a parish way beyond the next village, then play that composition. And then he would walk to that parish, listen to that composition, and then walk all the way back, and then do the fine tuning on it.
If that doesn't inspire someone to go out and take a walk today, I don't know what would, right? Like if that's what Bach did.
Now, today I just listened to a podcast that Tony Robbins had with Sanjay Gupta, the neurologist on CNN, who wrote a book on the breakthroughs in brain science. And he just mentioned something I found really amazing, that modern neuroscience is discovering the same thing, that walking is one of the healthiest things you can do for your brain health. And there we go back to the feedback loop. It's much more beneficial to your brain health than any type of high impact sport like running, because you don't have any of those stress hormones if you do gentle walking. You go into a rhythmic, relaxed mode. It's like doing yoga. You go into relaxed mode.
Oh, that's a really good point. I never thought about that connection in the walking, right? Is that you're not really producing stress on the body? Because I know that there are a lot of people that say, no, I run. That's my meditation. And I'm not a runner. So when I run, that is the furthest thing from meditation, And I always kind of wonder, like, is that true? If I were a better runner, would I hit that meditative state? But there's no doubt in my mind that I hit it with walking. And I think I've always felt like it had something to do with the rhythm, the step, the breath, right? There's just this rhythm there that is very natural to us. That is not, I don't care how great of a runner you are. I don't believe running is our natural state. That's a fear induced, right? We're trying to get away from something.
Exactly. And if you run, you have this runner's high, you have those happy hormones. where a lot of runners get addicted to having to these marathon runs. But it's not particularly healthy, especially if you reach my age. Running is not so healthy for your heart circulatory system.
Yeah.
So much healthier finding an exercise where you find your inner rhythm, which is in sync with your breathing, as you say. And I think how you breathe, how you walk affects how you breathe. And that in turn affects your well-being, your sense of well-being. And in that space of well-being, you have creativity.
Yes. Which, leads to making these big decisions in life, right? Because now all of a sudden you can be creative. You're not boxed in by the way you think your life has to be.
I think when we're stressed out, when we're in fear mode, and when our body is flooded with all these stress hormones, we're in tunnel vision. We're in fight or flight mode. And when all that falls away, you have that body and mind relaxing into such a state that what I call timelessness, state of timelessness. You must have experienced it as an experienced pilgrim as well. You reach that point where you're in a state of timelessness. You lose sense of time, and you don't feel any pain in your body. You're just floating on the earth, and I call it the happy mode.
Oh, you just took me back to that moment of bliss, this pure joy I experienced in one moment. That was just amazing.
And the cathedral in Santiago is an expression of this joy, because in contrast to many other cathedrals, all the sculptures and all the artwork is focused on the joy of pilgrims reaching their destination. The bliss, the joy is the central theme of this cathedral.
I've never heard anybody say that. That's fascinating. I am so excited to get back and see it without scaffolding, to see it without, because 2 times I've been in the cathedral, and both times there was scaffolding everywhere that, they were doing the restoration, and just seeing the pictures coming back in the video that some people have been sharing, it's just amazing. And I'm gonna have to learn more about this whole joy thing.
Yes, I haven't seen it since its renovation. I've just seen the pictures, and I thought, wow, let's get back.
Let's get back. I got to get back there. I'm going to pivot a little. Well, okay. So I've been thinking a lot about, we're getting ready to, hopefully, I pray the pandemic is coming to a close. I know that we've been hearing some resurgences and some things happening, and I hope that we're coming to a close. And I just wondered if you might be able to offer maybe some rituals that people could use for walks they're currently doing, where they are at, right now in the world. And also, I think your book is a great preparation for getting ready for taking a Camino, because I think a lot of times as pilgrims, we tend to focus on the physical aspect, right? I don't want to get blisters. What shoes should I wear? What backpack should I take? And, you can busy yourself with all of that, and it can be a distraction, and I know it's a big fear there, but I think we neglect, and part of my work going forward is hoping to help pilgrims and to look at, okay, but there's this whole other thing that's going to happen, and so let's get prepared for, trying to be ready to be mindful and get in habits. Like you talked about this ritual that you do with your ancestors. And so I wondered if you maybe would share maybe a couple of more rituals that people could do now that they could also use very powerfully while they're walking a Camino.
We did speak about mindfulness. And I think if you prepare well enough on that, just on that aspect of mindfulness, your Camino experience will be so much richer and fuller. And as you say, a lot of pilgrims get distracted with side issues. What boots am I going to wear, and what size my backpack, and so forth, and then lose sight of the mental preparation. And I like to take a prayer or a mantra or a psalm that I can repeat while walking. Like I'd spend an hour or 2 hours just repeating that mantra, just to clear my mind. And that would then help me get back to that state of presence by just repeating one mantra, one psalm, one song over and over again. The other thing I like doing is going into nature if I feel stressed out, and then just focusing on one sense, like a bird song. And just if I hear one bird in the tree, just to really intensively become aware of that one bird and its song. And then already you're in a different state of mind. Or just feel the aroma, the breeze of the wind on your skin, or the aroma of a wildflower. Just awakening the senses, and all the senses, sight, sound, so that it's a practice that comes with time.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. And if you can do that on the Camino, I mean, you would end your day having such a rich experience of.
Yes, and I absolutely recommend people to lock away their smartphones and their cell phones and all these electronic gadgets, because you're robbing that precious experience. So you see people come from faraway countries and they're on their iPhones phoning mommy, telling them about the Camino, but they're missing the most valuable part of it.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
Headset in. Taking excessive amounts of photos. And it's like, just look and just put it in here,
Exactly. And I think also walking alone is an essential part of it. I think there's a lot of respect among pilgrims if they see someone alone walking, just to leave that person alone, because that person is in a different thought process, perhaps transmuting something. So eventually, of course, people will talk about the experience, but leave people to have that moment with themselves. It's such a rich experience to tolerate yourself, to learn to tolerate and love yourself.
Right. And we certainly have had that experience this past year during lockdown, right? Really learning to tolerate ourselves and spend a lot of time on our own, or, with people that you might not want to be with. I want to just pivot quickly because, gosh, we're almost out of time. I knew this would happen because I knew there would be so much stuff for us to talk about. I wanted to make sure, I follow you on Facebook, and so I saw that you're getting ready to offer a retreat. And I know today, for those folks who have read your book or have listened to this interview, that they're probably like, I'd like to spend some time with this guy. I think there's a lot I can learn from him. I think he can really help me. So can we talk a little bit about this upcoming retreat and what it would be like?
Yes, well, I have offered such retreats in the past, but of course now with the pandemic, we had to put all that aside for a while, and we hope we can actually really do this in October, which will be a small group with only 8 people. Okay. And we will do a daily walk up in the mountains here on Majorca, and each day will have a theme. So, and by the 5th day, you'll have gone through a mini Camino. So, and hopefully inspire a participant to actually walk the whole path. So it's in a way a preparation for walking the Camino. The Camino Frances and the 500-mile walk. So if people want to mentally prepare, not only physically, but especially mentally, they can join our workshop.
I really love it. I always kind of see it as a bridge, from pandemic, kind of easing into the Camino and coming in and getting really prepared at your retreat, and then going on the Camino, as the next stage. I love it. It's kind of like a pre-stage.
So it would be ideal for people who maybe would want to walk in May or June 2022. This would be like a preliminary Camino.
And are there spots even left? I guess I better ask that. There's only 8 spots. Are there any remaining?
Well, we've had quite a few people interested, but most people are still waiting regarding travel. Most people are very hesitant to book at the moment because we don't know. We have the information that people from all countries can come from the 7th of June if they have both shots, both vaccinations. You can come to Spain, and you have that proof that you've had both jabs. Then it's no problem. But things, of course, change every day, and people are still very hesitant.
Yeah, understand.
But I'm hopeful that by summer, by June, July, we'll have more certainty regarding travel.
Yeah, I hope so too. Okay, so if you're listening or watching this, you might still have a chance to go on this trip. And you know what? If it ends up that you can't travel, or you're not,
and we will reimburse the deposit or the full fee if travel isn't possible because of COVID.
Oh, cool! That's very kind. Very kind. So I wanted to say for folks that maybe can't come at that time or for whatever reason, you do offer some online mentoring. So I wanted to touch upon that. And, what would that look like if I were to reach out to you and say, hey, I would like to do some mentoring? What would it entail?
Well, we initially do a get-to-know session of about 30 to 40 minutes just to see if if the chemistry fits.
Great.
And mentoring is something different to coaching. I try to lead people with questions, with accountability. So if they have a certain objective, for instance, like I want to change something in my job, then of course I can delve into the motivation. There might be other reasons behind the need to want to change the job. So we need to clarify the motivation first, the desire. And I think most people really are in search of meaning because a lot of the jobs out there alienate people from their true purpose. Mm-hmm. So and every individual has a different purpose, and each calling might be right at this moment in time, or might have been right in the past, but a calling can change over time. So a lot of people put themselves under stress. I need to find this one calling, but a life is very varied and is often made up of many different callings that each have a meaning and lead you onto that final calling when you have accomplished your lifespan. And if you talk to old people, wise old people, and they tell you about their life stories and how each event then led to another event, and each life lesson then turned into another life lesson. So I just like to help people find more clarity in their life.
Wonderful. And then, so you just do that. Do you do that on like Skype calls, Zoom calls with people?
Zoom calls. Yeah. At the moment, it's only Zoom calls. Of course, in person is much better, but at the moment, of course, it's only on Zoom.
Yeah. Well, we do what we can right now.
We do what we can. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm pretty confident that people are going to see this and definitely want to come to your retreat, read your books. I just want to hold up the cover again. So this is Deep Walking, beautiful cover. And of course, he has 2 other books you can check out as well, and a podcast. And you seem to do that kind of weekly. Do you have a schedule on your podcast? What do you do there?
Try to do it weekly. And of course, if there's any people out there, I'm always looking for people with a story to tell about their Camino, and how the Camino changed their life. Much what we're doing with each other now. because I think people are inspired by stories.
Yes.
So yeah, and it's called Living to Be, which is about finding your authenticity, finding your inner meaning, your inner voice, your inner song.
Beautiful. Well, I hope everybody will check that out. So Living to Be is the podcast. So check that out. If you check out his website, your website's wonderful. And I will have links to all of these things in the show notes. So, if you don't want to rush out right this second and figure all those out, the links will be there. It'll be very handy for you. Check out the retreat, check out his book. I know you will. And Reino, I am so honored to be able to be sitting here talking to you. And for me, this is the power of the Camino. It continues to provide connections and the messages that I continually need to hear and be reminded of. And, for me, I know this has been deeply educational, great reminders just for me personally. And also the Camino has given me so many connections to so many wonderful fellow pilgrims. And to think that we're building our Camino family and we're not even on the Camino right now is pretty miraculous in itself. So I really hope that someone that's heard us today will be inspired by your stories and will take that step to find new meaning in their life or what this next chapter holds for them. So thank you for coming today. I really appreciate it.
It's so much fun talking to you, Leigh.
You too.
Bon Camino.
Take care. Bon Camino.
Las cosas que necesito en la vida ya están aquí. Las cosas que necesito en la vida ya están aquí. I am free, free as a bird now, with my feathered wings. I am free, free as a bird now, with my feathered